The film is Todd directed the film. It's about my mother's murder when I was 15 years old. And to get serious for a moment, and it's available on iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, all those VOD platforms. But to be honest, it was, as a trauma survivor, it's important to put a linear timeline together to make a focused understanding of the events that created the trauma. Trauma lives in the body, is a physical reality, and knows no sense of time, so it can come back and be triggered at any time. I'm sure you know all about this.
You're saying something very accurate, so I want to shine a little light on that. So what he's talking about is something called a timeline, which we do with trauma survivors.
Right.
Where you start at your birth and you move through your life and you really break things. And it's amazing what people skim over because trauma gets compartmentalized. And then the trauma itself is relived all day in your body.
Yes. Yeah. Physical manifestation of that trauma that can be re-triggered by anything like, a bad business phone call can re-trigger that same trauma from your childhood, and you don't know why you're reacting so improportionate to that trauma. So what this film, in terms of therapeutically, there's no closure. I mean, it's not like, know, the fact that my mom was killed still sucks at the end of the process, but the way I react in traumatic, in terms of trauma being re-triggered has changed incredibly so.
Yeah. And for a young man, I think that's probably about, not to pour salt on it, but your mid-teens, about the worst time for something like that to happen. Because you're so confused and hormonally everything's going on and you have no sense of self, and then to lose such a trusting figure in your life, I mean, it must have been just catastrophic.
Yeah. And then, naturally, I went, headfirst into drug addiction and, battled that for a lot of years. But I have to say that I was well on my way to being a drug addict prior to this event.
Sure.
There's a million trauma survivors that don't become junkies.
Right. And there's millions of drug addicts that never had serious
trauma. What I always say is
I'm one of them.
The trauma just puts some rocket fuel behind your addiction. Just
gives me an excuse. It gives you rocket fuel, but it also
it fires it up.
It fires it up, but it also gave me the ability to say, anybody who had anything to say to me, I could say, well, what do you expect? My mom was just killed.
Right.
Okay, I guess you can shoot heroin.